Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Butternomics. I'm your host, Brandon Butler, founder and CEO of Butter ATL. And today, we got one of my favorite people in the building. One of my favorite people, a beautiful person, a beautiful soul who's doing some amazing work out here as always. Dr. Key Hallmon. Dr. Key, how are you doing today?
Brandon, I'm doing so well. I've been so excited for this conversation and sitting with you because I'm one of your favorite people, but you're one of mine too.
Oh,
Yeah, so I've been excited to sit with you.
if I could do a little heart hands thing, I would do a little heart hand. I've been practicing it. My daughter's been showing me, but I appreciate that. Now, for those that don't know, Dr. Key is the founder and CEO of the Village Market, who does amazing work out here in the city. But Dr. Key, for those that don't know, just tell people, what is the Village Market?
Yes, so the Village Market is all things Black businesses.
Hmm.
So I launched Village Market in 2016, and my first iteration of Village Market, I wanted to create a marketplace for Black businesses. I felt that I didn't have the capital to get people the capital infusion that they needed, but I knew that there's people capital as well. So I built these nighttime markets, support is a verb. And I told the community, it's like, hey, I'm going to bring you 100 entrepreneurs. I need you to come and support these entrepreneurs. And so the Village Market took off from April 2016 into what it has become now,
Hmm.
which we've been able to move into other umbrellas. But my first iteration, my passion has been the same, that in order for entrepreneurs to thrive, you need the backing of community.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people, they sometimes I think build businesses in silos, sometimes by accident. And to your point, right? Like getting the community involved, engaged, advocating for it, helping to support it is like critical. I mean, I know that from a Butter standpoint, right? Like again, you build something. I've said it many times, like especially in Atlanta, Atlanta will support you if you build something authentically, respectfully, but also in public. The community will support you. How has the community come and kind of rallied around what you've built with the Village Market, as well as the different businesses that it supports?
I tell folks when I moved here, knew maybe a handful of people. I did not come to Atlanta as an entrepreneur. I came to Atlanta as an educator.
Hmm.
So I taught in Cobb County for a little bit. And then when I went to the Georgia Department of Education, that's when my entrepreneur bug started to tap me some. And I think is what happens when you have a purpose that you didn't know that you had. And so when I started to think about the legs of Village Market, luckily I started to attract friends who were entrepreneurs. And so that support for me and this Atlanta support has come. I remember telling folks like I have this vision of creating this village for Black businesses. And the more I told people my vision, the more I began to build my own village to support me in building it. Atlanta has been so kind to me, Brandon, from the level of mentorship that I've had here, the ecosystem that I've been able to garner, the businesses that's a part of the village. I think Atlanta is a place that what you said, if you build an authenticity, your people will always come. But I don't know if I think that's only akin to Atlanta. I think if you build something well intended and it has a great deal of passion, your people will find you. And so again, Atlanta has been kind and very gracious to me and all of my many, many ideas that I've been able to push into this city.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people too, sometimes I think people over-index on like the idea of like Black businesses, right? Like these are still businesses that are still solving problems. So it's not like they're solving problems only for Black people.
Right.
They're solving problems and they're creating businesses that kind of support everybody. Like how has the broader community outside of just, the Black community of Atlanta came in and supported the Village Market?
Absolutely. We have, when I say the level of diversity,
Hmm.
from our shoppers, from our partners, to our advocates, to our allies. The reason why Village Market has had such success is because it has been this blanket of care. And that blanket of care has been deeply diverse. And though I center Black businesses, my job is to center Black businesses because of the disparities that's there. But I know that in the end, the businesses that I support has products, has services, has merchandise that is in the homes of many people that do not look like them. And I think that is true for all great businesses. And so my job and what it has been for me is to really position businesses to be able to grow their infrastructure, grow their processes, control for quality, so they can be able to reach those diverse customers. And we've had so much success. I have a retail store at Ponce City Market. I was stopped by yesterday, and a man came in from Vancouver, Canada,
Hmm.
and he said, I heard about this. I had to come get a Supporters of Verb sweatshirt. But this is a man that is not Black. and he and his wife came and they, number one, felt at home, but they fell in love with the products. That is the truth of the quality of products that we have at the Village Retail, but also what we've been able to do with all our businesses and all our programs.
Yeah, and one thing I really appreciate too about the Village Retail and the Village Market, all the stuff y'all do is, I think sometimes it's like black businesses, we kind of focus purely on like the service-based business side of things. It's like it's easy to stand something up and be like, oh, I'm gonna build a website or I'm gonna bake something, right? But like actually having businesses and black businesses that are creating products, I think is really amazing. How do you help support those businesses that actually want to say like, because again, look, I get stressed out sometimes as like a person because I do a lot of service-based work. I do marketing agency, a lot of creative work. And, I tell people, man, sometimes I just want to sell something that comes in small, medium, and large. Sometimes I just want to sell something, say, you know what, that's it on the shelf. Just go grab it and get it. But like, how does the Village Market and how do you all work to help, get these businesses that actually do want to create physical products and bring those into the store?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So we have a nonprofit arm, our Village United. And so under our Village United, we have a program called Elevate Mississippi, Elevated Cities, where we support entrepreneurs in 25 different states. But it's 100% for businesses that sell products.
Hmm.
And so we support these entrepreneurs. Now, when you come into OVU, you come into Village Retail, you should have a tangible product. Our job is to just help you be able to enhance it and grow it and be prepared to scale it. And so we work with entrepreneurs that's beyond ideation stage,
Hmm.
and we work with them to pair them with marketing specialists, product specialists. We also have a partnership with Target in place, where Target comes and lead our retail readiness classes. But our success for me at the end, when someone is getting ready to graduate or fly from the Village, is that they can either stand up their own brick and mortar location. They have a e-commerce company that is lucrative, or they've been able to scale to big box retail. I tell folks when you come to the Village Retail, it's not the goal that if you shop from us 4 years ago that we have the exact same products in there.
Yeah.
A company is meant to outgrow the Village so we
Hmm.
can have space for the next company. But through our programs at our Village United, we work with entrepreneurs every single day across the country, and from local to government contracts to big box retail. We have products that are we have services that are multi-pronged to be able to support entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's great. And like, I've been there many times. Like, I've seen the space. Shout out to Hair Bella and some of the, some of the OG brands that are probably in there. But like, what are some other success stories of other businesses that have kind of come through there, but also to your point, and I love what you just said, not just graduate, but they fly.
Yes, they fly.
So what are some other businesses that have come through there and kind of flown out into the next phase of their business?
You know, a business that I am so proud of. He hasn't flown out of the Village yet, but I'm so proud of Chris Davis, Savoir Faire.
Oh yeah.
I remember Chris Classic, as people know him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris
Shout out to Chris.
Classic. I have to give him a massive shout out because I met Chris, I believe, in either 2018 or 2019 when he did a pop up for Village Market,
Hmm.
and seeing Chris then, he had such intentionality around his products and even how his booth was set up at Village Market to when it was time for him to be in Village Retail. Chris wants his packaging, his products, all of it. He wants it all to be the best.
Yeah.
He really believed in the customer experience. And so to see Chris being one of our top sellers at the Village Retail, and to see his own personal company doing so well, I think he's been one of our greatest success stories because he's also in the industry of fragrance and scents, and you don't often see us in those spaces. So I've been deeply, deeply proud of Chris's success. Again, he hasn't flown from the Village, but Chris has been able to get into other retail stores, and he is doing really great numbers. So I am. And he is successful because the level of intentionality he puts into his business. He is not comfortable with being second. He's not comfortable being third. Chris wants to be the best in his industry. And so to me, he is, but we have several entrepreneurs that I think has done well. But in this conversation, Chris is the one that's like resting on my heart
Yeah.
because I've seen him grow from when he did the pop-ups with us to see where he is now. It is absolutely inspirational.
Yeah, and I've seen him around. I actually bumped into him at the grocery store a couple weeks ago, and I was talking to him about some stuff. And it's always amazing seeing him. I see him on social media all the time. Like he really cares about the product that he's building, right? Like I see him getting the stuff together and making sure everything's really right and the presentation is right. And then I think that's the other part that's important too is a lot of times people think about they're going to cut corners or they're going to do something, and like that level of intentionality that he's put into every single thing he's done is kind of what relates to the success that he's probably having, right?
Yes, is what you said. Chris cares about every single detail.
Yeah.
And Chris will go slow if it requires him to go slow, and he would not be rushed
Hmm.
because he understands in his rushing, he loses part of the element that makes his company what it is. And so I think so many entrepreneurs can learn from the level of due diligence that he does before something reaches our shelves and before it lands on your body or in your home. Chris has done so much work to from the point of when a customer is actually purchasing it. So you're really purchasing not just his product, but you're purchasing a piece of his heart.
Yeah.
And I think we have so many success stories like that when it comes to entrepreneurs that it's not just something a quick side hustle. This is a part of a greater purpose for them in their lives. And so working with Chris, working with Akita, this Love Ground Candle, Whether Not Worn, The GOAT by Kings James, and many, many others, to see the level of care and focus that they have, Windy City Sense. And to hear their stories, it's just I feel privileged every day that I've met so many entrepreneurs that let us have a glimpse inside of their excellence, and that we get to be conduits and vessels for them reaching even greater markets.
Yeah. Why was it important to kind of evolve the idea of the village market from kind of that marketplace to an actual retail location?
Yeah. And when I started, that was not the vision. So let me tell you, I had no aspiration to open a retail store. That was not on the business plan. But the more that I started to understand a path to success, entrepreneurs need daily access to customers.
Yeah.
And so while we were able to do big numbers doing quarterly marketplaces, it is a level of refining to be able to open a retail store that's open 7 days a week. We have customers coming from all over the world. You learn so much about customer needs and what they want. For me, the retail store is just an extension of, I told you I used to be, forever an educator. But this retail store is just another classroom for me.
Hmm.
I've been able and to be able to support these entrepreneurs with understanding their customer, understanding scale and volume, which I think can be a learning curve if you've only done pop-ups and marketplaces. Typically, if you only do shows, your goal is to sell out.
Right.
In retail, the goal is not to sell out. The goal the goal is to making sure that you have inventory to constantly meet a customer 7 days a week. So the retail store has probably been one of the hardest things I've done, branding and entrepreneurship. Thankfully, I have such an incredible team. Yolanda, our operations manager, she is the glue with ensuring that the retail store operates in efficiency and excellence every day. But I wanted to be able to test the theory that what happens if you go beyond a marketplace?
Hmm.
What happens if you go beyond a quarterly or a pop up and position entrepreneurs for a pathway to have customers every day? Do we have a greater case use study to say, here are 5 entrepreneurs that's been able to sustain year over year? They've seen growth in their sales. Target, I have 5 for you that's ready.
Yeah.
So for us, it's just a case study and being able to prove our theory that if you give entrepreneurs the resources, the technical assistance, and you position them for success, these entrepreneurs will be successful.
Yeah. And one of the things you also talk about a lot is this whole idea of like, collective wealth building and, helping entrepreneurs move from individualism to more collectivism. Like, why is that mindset shift for entrepreneurs so important in your opinion?
Yeah, it's deeply personal for me. I think one of the things that is eroding in our community is that we've started to believe in the belief of individualism,
Hmm.
that it's me versus me, and as long as I'm good. But I believe as a people, we were never wired that way.
Yeah.
I think that we're in a system where we're simply trying to survive, and survival has come to the survival of the fittest. That means one person. And I think it's a survival of the collective. And I think that we have to divorce these mindsets that as long as Dr. Key good, that's the only thing that matters. If we want upward mobility in our community, your success, Brandon, is just as important as my success.
Yeah.
The way that I want to see Butter continue to thrive, I know if you thrive, then all the people that's attached to you would thrive as well. If the village thrives, all the people that's attached to me would thrive as well. But we need to thrive together. And so I want us, particularly in our community, to have deeper relationships with each other. I want us to figure out how to sit at a table, even if we have disagreements, because we may think differently and operate differently. I want us to know that those differences is the catalyst to something greater. Um, Being in a village does not mean group thought. Being in a village means that you have people with individual talents and gifts who have and aligned on their mission. So I'm telling every entrepreneur that listens to this conversation, all the conversations to come, if you want to be your most successful self, you have to be tethered to with people of like minds. We must build community if we want to close the generational wealth gap that is even more pervasive than what our parents and great parents experience. It is going to require us to do a rewiring, and we have to be tethered to each other in a way that is also impenetrable. So then it doesn't matter who is in the White House. Those things don't matter if we are strong and we are focused. But we have to, our generation, Brandon, have to have a discipline to be focused and be committed to work together. Because I do think that we get distracted by noise. I think we get distracted by social media reels. And that distraction of it looks like a person is doing so well and I'm not doing as well. Another thing that erodes our community is jealousy.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the constant the reel of having to constantly compare yourself or the same people constantly being chosen, I think it would help our psyche and our mindset. So in order for us to create this collective, we have to nurture our minds. We have to take back our control of our consciousness. If we can get back to a conscious state that we are truly one body that is here to do immaculate things, I believe that we can win this fight.
100%. But I want to double tap on something you just said, because as an entrepreneur myself, I think it's really important to, you're doing all these things. You're kind of building this stuff out. You're a resource and a leader and a beacon for a lot of people. And again, I feel a lot of the same similarities in the stuff that I do with Butter. But let's be honest, this stuff gets heavy sometimes. Especially when you do have so many people that are connected to you. You do have so many people that you feel like depend on you showing up every day as your best self. Like, how do you manage mental health with yourself, along with building these things so that you can be your best self for the village and the community that you're working with?
I'm happy that more of us are having conversations that as much of entrepreneurship is a gift, we've also experienced where it felt like a burden.
Absolutely.
And the reason why I can sit here today and be fully present and grounded with you, Brandon, is because I work so much on my inner me.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to therapy every week.
Shout out there, me too.
Every Monday, I'm signed up, ready to go. I'm on early. It's probably the only meeting I'm super early for. I block out my morning to make sure that I can be fully present. But beyond me being a champion of therapy, I also spend so much time in nature.
Mm-hmm.
I go where I believe that I can feel God the loudest. I talk to myself. I big myself up. I'm also reflective of areas that I can improve, but I'm not reflective in a way that is harmful to my being either, because I believe that we can be our own self-critics in a way that the daggers we're throwing and we're stabbing ourselves. I've been there, and that means being too hard on myself about things, not giving myself enough grace. I practiced a couple years ago a year of grace, and that year of grace freed me in ways of being a perfectionist, the ways that I wanted to please everybody. If I didn't do this work, there's no way I can earnestly sit before you today and tell you that a collective for our people is possible.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I believe this so much is because I freed my mind. So I want entrepreneurs to know that we are not saying that even when you free your mind that you won't have rough days. You will. When you get off your Buddha mountain, world is there, and it is very hard. But I think the way that we take care of ourselves safeguard us with how we respond to the hard, because it can be self-inducing and self-intoxicating in a way that if we haven't positioned ourselves to be able to filter out the negative, filter out the toxicity, then it takes over our body, and it interrupts our ability to do our work at our finest. But entrepreneurs is very important, Brandon. As much as we want to build scalable generational businesses, we also are meant to have and live so well that we can actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
So from the Village Retail to Village Market to Our Village United, the 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 roots of all those organizations is that I prioritize well-being for entrepreneurs. To be in our programs, that means you sign up for a holistic program. Every entrepreneur, we have what we call the well. So every Friday or every Monday, we have a well for entrepreneurs. We have therapists who come on. We have life coaches that come on. We have breathwork specialists. All of these, and this is a part of all our programs.
Yeah.
So while we'll pair you with a Tracy Pickett to help you with your marketing, we don't want you to only have worked with Tracy that week. We want you to also have gone to see Dr. Joy that week. Because for us to have this community, this village, and this level of viability to do things differently, we have to deconstruct what really took us apart. And that's our ability to take care of ourselves. So I am a big advocate of there's nothing I want more in life is to live this life within my highest vibration.
Mm-hmm.
If I never made money again, but I can live in my highest vibration, I would choose that. But I know, Brandon, that we can live in our highest vibration and have lucrative lives that flows to the next generation and to the next generation.
Yeah, look, that's important. Again, it's funny. In a past life, I had a retail location for a business that I was running, and I'm actually grew it in I think 3 different locations actually at one time, and it was stressful. And I tell people all the time. I remember there was a moment where like payroll was coming up one week, and I didn't have it. I'm tell you
Mm.
straight up, I was like, yeah, payroll's on Friday, and I ain't got it. And I remember I drove my car to this one of those places where you take out a title loan. And I sat in that parking lot, and I sat there and I said, should I go in here, just to make payroll? I'm not going to make any money, but that's how committed I was actually making sure that I could take care of my team. And I remember many nights laying in my bed, looking at the ceiling, be like, I don't know how in the hell we going to make this thing work. And I remember I ended up driving off. I didn't go in that store that day. And, I went back to the office and, some business came in and things were able to work out. And it's always funny how sometimes when things seem the darkest, and you're like, I don't know exactly how this is going to work out, but I'm just going to have some faith and I'm going to kind of keep moving in the right direction. Like things tend to kind of work out. But no, I mean, it's that balance. And again, if you don't take care of yourself, like we fetishize and we, put entrepreneurship on such a pedestal. And I mean, I think that's a very important thing, but nobody kind of talks about that other angle of what it does to you, internally. I know for me, again, like I remember there was a time my hair would start falling out. I would literally get patches of alopecia. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because I was so stressed
Mm-hmm.
about things and I didn't understand how to release them. I wasn't in therapy. I wasn't talking to anybody. I was kind of holding it all in. And so that's a big part that I've had to do over the years too, right? It's like you say, do that inner work on yourself and kind of figure that stuff out. And those are some of the challenges that I've learned in running business that they don't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other kind of unforeseen challenges that you've run into as you've been like growing this whole business and brand?
I think one of the challenges, you said something I want to respond to, and then I answer that question. I think the inner work the inner work allows us to have armor.
Yeah.
Without the inner work, we don't have armor. That means everything penetrates us.
Mm-hmm.
Every stressful day, every setback, every negative review that we get, every team member that resigns, it would just take you out. The inner work it allows you to have an armor on that it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that those things don't matter. They just don't floor you any longer.
Yeah.
For entrepreneurs, and we have to have more honest conversations that in order to actualize something for yourself, the things that you sacrifice for success, relationships, your own well-being, your own finances sometimes, we have to start telling the full story. And it's not to really prepare people for doomsday. It's in our transparency, we liberate other people.
Yeah.
And so I want us to get to a place where we're not embarrassed to talk about the dark moments of not knowing if I'm really going to be able to make payroll, the dark moments that everybody else is being taken care of except for me. If we can get to that place, I think we're going to see a level of authenticity that so many people will be freed and will be able to level set and have expectations and safeguard towards some things. But to your question, other things that I don't know if people are really prepared for, especially if you become an entrepreneur where you have a lot of social capital.
Yeah.
When you, if people think you the plug for anything, they think the well just constantly flows, and every time they ask you for something, for a meeting, for a connection, a ticket to something, as if you have tickets to everything, um, the level of people saying they want to work with you only so they can have adjacency to you
Yeah.
and access to a life that they believe that you have. All of that can be extremely heartbreaking as well, because you're trying to figure out who's genuine anymore,
Mm-hmm.
who's around me and who wants to support me truly for the village, rather than I just want to be connected for myself. Um, I don't know if we tell the truth about how it feels some days that so many people are hanging on you. There's also, if you have social capital, it's not enough, there's not a lot of room to be human.
Yeah.
If you have a rough day with your team, Brandon, and you are Brandon, you are Mr. Butter, um, the way that the criticism can be, oh, he's nothing the way that people think he is. Oh, he's Mr. Community. It's like I had a human moment with you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be this person every single day that I can be the perfect image for you. I got to have the image of a full spectrum human.
Mm-hmm.
And that even if I make hard decisions or tough decisions, it's not an attack on you, it's for the betterment of the organization. And I don't know if we have an opportunity. I don't know if there's any training for that. I don't know if it's any training for social capital in a way that people really the unrealistic expectations that people put on us. It can be extremely trying. In the way that I've circumvented myself from that, I am very insulated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be at everything. When I come to stuff, people are very surprised I'm there. That has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
It has helped me a lot to really just insulate myself. It also has helped me a lot. Dr. Crystal Jones said that a no with a period at the end is a full sentence. When I heard that, I was like, no at the end of the sentence. And she said, with no explanation,
Yeah.
that we have to start practicing our no's. That helped me as well. But if you were a former person who just wanted to please people the way that I did, and I had to like really heal my inner child, that is hard to have a no period without wanting to like follow it up. I know that was a strong no. I'm sorry. And we have to know that whatever decisions, and I think for us as leaders, I authenticate all my yeses and all my nos. I do deep reflection of what's making me say yes, what's making me say no. Is the yes a part of my vision? Is the no against my vision?
Mm-hmm.
Or is the no is just not the right time? However I respond to those things is how I respond. And it's really authenticating every yes, every no. I do what you call soul work on how I decide to do things. And that has freed me up a lot.
You know, I love this conversation. I mean, again, just the idea of like I've thought about it, but I love the way that you put it because especially when it comes from a social capital standpoint, right? Like everybody talks about building in public and doing these things and social media and all this stuff, and people start to build a vision of you kind of in their mind, and it's funny, man. Like I every day I put my phone, I have a schedule on my phone to where it's on do not disturb until 10 a.m.
Mm.
because there are mornings when I wake up with questions and asks. And I always joke and say, so you just couldn't wait until noon. Like you had to send me a question at 7 a.m. Tell me you needed something, or
Mhm.
you had to come in with your hand out. And I always kind of tell people too, like I look at the questions and the ask, and when I do, I always scroll up and I count. I said, how many times has this person hit me up randomly and asked me for something, and how many? Because I don't really ask people for much. Sometimes I feel like I can't ask people for a lot of things, right? But like I don't really ask people for much, but I've started to notice that too. And I think again, that's something that people don't really realize, right? And it's something that I've kind of had to deal with. It's like because when you're building something, especially in the beginning, that requires it, you got to dive in. You got to dive in, head first, and you got to get into it. But at a certain point, you got to start pulling yourself out. You got to kind of start creating layers. You got to start telling people no, or I can't show up. One of the things that's always funny to me is people always hit me up and say, Brandon, can we get coffee? And I'm like, look, y'all, I love you, but I don't need no more free coffee. I don't need no free
Mhm.
lunches. If you want to meet, like, look, I could do a 15-minute call here or like a 30-minute call there. But like even just the idea that I have to get up and leave my house and go drive and meet somebody just for them to wait for the right moment to ask me for something. And then I got to determine whether or not it was a very stressful time for me.
Mhm.
And so one of the things I even tell my team now, which is really interesting, like I tell any team that I work with, when it comes to me, the only thing I ask is that you assume good intentions.
Mhm.
Because
Mm.
if you assume good intentions, then if I say no with a period at the end, because that's a
Mhm.
sentence, then you got to understand there's a reason behind that. And I think it's even more important in this world we live in where everything's remote, everything's virtual, everything's on text. It's hard to read tone and some of those kind of things, right? And so you have to kind of balance it out. So, I just love the fact that we're talking about this because I think, again,
Mhm.
people don't really understand on the flip side the burden of it. And I can only imagine what it's like for those people that just have humongous amounts of social life. We're just talking about,
Mhm.
Atlanta and like the Southeast
Mhm.
right now. But imagine these people that again just have like the burdens of, I always say like I'm not doing rocket surgery here. I'm not saving the world here. We're making content, we're having a good time, we're doing stuff, but this stuff can get really serious. And again, like it's really important, I think, to your point, to kind of figure out for entrepreneurs what level of insulation do you
Mhm.
need around you. Again, not to push people away, but just to manage it for yourself. Because if not, it's coming in from all angles, and it can get tough. So no, I just love that.
And I think the insulation is self-care.
Yeah,
I think the reason why you insulate yourself, and insulating yourself is not hiding yourself. Insulating yourself doesn't mean that you're never accessible. Is you're accessible when you are most prepared to be accessible.
hmm
You're accessible when you actually have something to give. You are accessible when that 15 minutes you can be fully present.
right.
I do know that I've been there, and I'm the same with my mornings. When you open your eyes and you make the mistake of looking at your phone first, and the level of ask come in, and my empathy is to understand that people are asking because they need something,
Right.
and people are asking because a lot of it is a space of survival. I'm asking because I'm trying to get to this next level. I'm trying to grow my business. I need to meet this meeting. I need to have this meeting because I think if I meet this person, this is the person that's going to blow me up. I get that,
100%.
but at the same time, I think that our community, we have to do a better job of protecting each other. That means, could this text have waited to 10:30?
hmm
Could this text have waited to 1:30? And so I think for all our listeners, the question, if you are a person, if you're in a season of your life where you have more ask than what and you can give out, I want you to know it's okay. We've all been in seasons where it's our season of where we need people more,
Yeah.
and then seasons where we need people less. But if this is your season to need people a lot more than what you naturally do, I do say, if you can, wait until 10:30 a.m. to send the text, because those of us on the receiving end, I know for me, it gave me a lot of anxiety.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so much anxiety of trying to field everything and not want to disappoint anyone. So also, if it can wait to after 10:30 in the morning to send a text to ask the question, if this is in your season of need, just wait.
hmm
But we're not asking you, and not we're not. I know for me, I understand how you get to a place where it's just straight survival and desperation.
Yeah.
So you are not thinking. Um, but I know that for you, for me, and other entrepreneurs who folks see us as resources, if it can wait, wait, and know that you're not the only ask for that day. We're also managing teams. I, I I think it just takes a level of being aware, but I know that it's hard to be aware when you're in survival.
No, again, I've experienced it, and the last thing I'll just say about this is like, yeah, there was a time in my life where I was running those stores, and I remember anytime my phone would go off, I would have an anxiety attack.
The same.
Like anything, and
Mhm.
just imagine how many notifications you get.
Yep. Mhm.
It could be a random, it could be a spam email, but
Mhm.
I remember I would have this feeling of, oh God, what
Mhm.
is it now?
Mhm.
And I never want to feel like that again.
Yep.
I remember one time I went on vacation and I had to lock my phone in the safe.
Mm.
I just can't, y'all. I can't look at it. And I was so glad to get out of that space. But I had to learn how to manage that part
Mhm.
too. I had to learn how to manage it. And again, I understand that people in lots of different areas, but again, that's a moment luckily again, I've done a lot of work since then and moved past that. I don't get that anxiety, but I'm telling you, man, and that was some of the growing pains. And, speaking of growing pains, again, like scaling,
Yeah.
there's growing pains that come with scaling businesses. I know that again, like even when you talk to these businesses, infrastructure is important. Like, what are some lessons that you could share with entrepreneurs about just what they should think about when they're trying to scale up a business from an infrastructure and process standpoint?
Yes. So I think sometimes we skip operations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I always tell entrepreneurs, make sure that you have an operations manual. And that is how your company is going to manage itself, your process for everything, and not just where you are today, but at your highest. Can you go ahead and start planning for your highest moment
Yeah.
of a business? Because without those operations, without the standard operating procedures, you're just kind of out there in the wind. If you're an entrepreneur, that business grew fast, I know that mine did. If it grows fast and you sometimes have to reverse engineer, you have to
Yeah.
go in and start putting some systems. It's like, oh wait, I didn't prepare for that. Um, because I want to encourage entrepreneurs that good ideas eventually catch on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want you to be prepared. I wish one told me in 2016, be prepared for when the good idea really catches on so you can have your processes, your systems in place. Because you can reverse engineer and fix those things, but it's sometimes a little bit harder when things are bleeding out.
Yeah.
I also tell entrepreneurs that you have to be clear before you start to onboard people. As a leader, you have to understand your leadership style. You also need to understand your weaknesses as a leader. If you're not someone that takes feedback well, you have to know that you don't take feedback well. And I think that level of honesty, w- and that's brutal honesty with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that you're a little bit more sensitive to reading reviews, that's okay. Your job should not be to read reviews.
Right.
Let someone filter those reviews for you. And so as we think about growing companies and what does it mean to scale, all of it still goes back to making sure the leader has a clear compass of who they are and how they will lead. And as you build your standard operating procedures, as you look at what the scale look like for your company, every entrepreneur doesn't want 25 retail stores.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we push our community to want more than what they want. So if you have one retail store and the only thing you want is that one retail store to be its best, you have to be honest within yourself so you're not contorted and pushed to scaling to a place that you never wanted, and also a place, and if you never wanted it, that means it's going to be hard for you to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
So I think putting that expectation on our community that everything has to reach scale with what we have in our mind, I think is a bit unfair. And for entrepreneurs overall, I always go back to those standard operating procedures because that is your Bible. That tells you where everything goes, how everything flows. It is not something that you don't revisit.
Mm-hmm.
We revisit our standard operating procedures quite often, and we're still building some. But you have to visit because when you do your weekly assessment or how often you do your assessment, your evaluation of your company, you have to understand what's working well, what's barely um, holding on, and what needs a new process.
Yeah.
We do those often, and they help us a lot, especially with our nonprofit, Our Village United. We look weekly on how to improve, how to improve, how to improve. I want entrepreneurs to have the level of diligence with your company. I also think that there's a time if we're in the product industry for the village retail. There's like a time when the customer is right. There's a time, and I don't believe that customers are always right.
No,
I
no,
think it
no.
it really depends on the mood the person is in. But I do think when there are moments when you're reading reviews or whoever does that for you on your team, there needs to be a level of accountability. Is where's the truth
Right.
in this review? And it's not to be defensive. It's like wherever that moment of truth is a moment of improvement
Mhm.
for you. And I glean in those moments of improvement. And it's probably the craziness of entrepreneurship, but I love having the feedback that will only make us better
Mhm.
if we fix it. So I want entrepreneurs to feel comfortable with feedback, but you also need to filter when someone is literally antagonizing you just for the sake of it being antagonist. But I think the level of evaluation on processes will help you prepare to scale. I think there is a mistake to scale prematurely.
Mhm.
I I think it would make an entrepreneur question if their business concept is a good concept. It can be good. It could also mean that you're trying to move yourself to the next market and you're not prepared to be in that market yet. Doesn't mean it's a bad business idea.
Yeah.
You're trying to prematurely miss a step of rinse, recycle, repeat.
Mhm.
We rinse, recycle, repeat a lot. And then once I feel that we really efficient, then I take us to the next thing. And a perfect example of that, when I launched my nonprofit, we only had one program, and that program was Elevate, and it was only in Atlanta. We did a pilot study. We worked with these entrepreneurs, and we rinse, recycle, repeat. I always knew that I was going to have a pro bono program where we offer pro bono services for women retailers. I always knew I was going to do that. I always knew that I was going to have a procurement program to really support entrepreneurs, local, state, and federal contracts. But I knew the only way that we can have that, we had to perfect our pilot study in Atlanta.
Right.
I didn't grow us from Atlanta to LA where we have programming now and all the other cities that we have programming. I didn't grow us to that level prematurely. Because if you grow into a market, and especially if you want to be a trusted organization, if you cannot deliver, then it hurts you and hurt every organization that looks like you being able to deliver technical assistance, which we provide.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think people fully understand that product market fit is a gift and a curse.
Hmm.
Like you'll know when you get it. Like when you get it, you'll know. But again, if you don't have the systems in place, and or even if you're developing them still, because again, sometimes you don't know what you know. You know what you need until you know what you need.
Yes.
But yeah, when it hits, and it can hit quite hard. And I guess my next question is, I know you're working on a book.
Yes.
So are you putting some of these lessons in this book? Because people need to know this stuff.
Yes. So my book, No One Is Self Made, is actually available now for pre order. It comes into the world February 4th. But everything, Brandon, it's almost like you read the book because this is the conversation. The book is for entrepreneurs. The book is for entrepreneurs who feel that they have purpose in entrepreneurship. It's for entrepreneurs that also care about social impact and social implications. It's for entrepreneurs that want to teeter into the world of civic engagement, who wants to be just more than a business owner.
Hmm.
It's for entrepreneurs that want to be a vessel and who wants to be successful. Um, but the book is a guide for entrepreneurs of how to build community. Because as we start at the top of this conversation, I think the pathway for viability for entrepreneurship and closing the wealth gap is going to require a collective ecosystem. I think we have to go ahead and assess what our values are. I have a whole chapter on well-being. I have a chapter that's focused on the hard stuff, some of my hardest days in business. I talk about those things because the level of transparency that is needed in entrepreneurship, the level of truth telling, it is our responsibility to not get in these conversations, to not write books, to not be on podcasts, to not be on social media, and acting like life is always great for us. If it is, I'm very impressed. I don't know how you did it. But this book for me is truly a love offering to our community. I want entrepreneurs to read the book and know that their ideas are possible. I want them to have the a lot of the work that you and I do and other entrepreneurs, we learn by trial and error. I share a lot of my errors.
Hmm.
I also share about the goodness of community. when we build it authentically, when we build it intentionally. I also talk about how it can be hard to build in community if you haven't done the self work and if the person that you're trying to build with haven't done the self work.
Yeah.
So I don't look at community as idealism. It's I think we say it a lot, but to even be in community requires work. It requires again discipline. It requires reflection. And so I'm hopefully empowering entrepreneurs that as we decide to build our ecosystem, we know what questions to ask. We know what things to listen for. If you have aspirations to scale, I talk about that as well. I also talk about what it looks like to build legacy for your family
Hmm.
because you have your family and I have my nephews. I don't have children, but I don't just build. I don't just build for myself. I build for other businesses, but I also build for my nephews. I want them to have a pathway that is clear for them. And I want them to take the baton and be able to run further than I could have ever imagined. But in order for me to do that for them, I need to have already cleared a lane. When we build our businesses well and our SOPs are in place, our vision is in place, our mission is in place, and we're building with other folks in community, then we have created a lane for the next generation. I know that we hear these conversations around legacy and it's thrown out a lot, but I think we have to be students of what legacy can be for us. I think that we imagine us sitting as a beloved community and we're all vision casting together.
Yeah.
Imagine if we sat at a round table where we spend less time talking about the problems because we know the problems and more time us envisioning what shared prosperity is and what that feels like. I believe that can open something inside of us that will really make us unstoppable. The book talks about that. I talk about economic prosperity. I talk about purpose. I talk about soul work. So it is a deeply holistic entrepreneurial book. It is not your standard 10x rule, which the book was great, but it's not that. This book is going to require you to sit with yourself
Yeah.
and to evaluate what you want in life and why you want it. This book is going to require you to just divorce individualism. I have a hard chapter on No One is Self-Made, title of the book, but also the very first chapter of the book. I go ahead and I go deeply into the narrative of why once we get success in our life, the first thing that people want to tell us is that we're self-made. I talk about how that distorts reality and how it distorts the our ability to be in community with other people.
Hmm.
To be self-made, I can imagine that it was to tout that title is just to show that you had self-determination. But I think a determined person is a person who knows how to do these things and bring people along with them, and to do these things and know how to celebrate the team that lifts them up, in the family that they confide into, the partners or your best friends who really comfort you when your emotions are very frail. All those people are the reasons why I've been able to have success, and I can imagine why you've been able to have success as well. And so I'm really tackling a topic head on, but I close the book with action. Um, because in order for us to move the needle for our community, we have to be action oriented people.
Yeah.
We can sit in the problems or we can decide to build together to solve things. And maybe the generation ahead of us won't have the problems that we had. They'll have some new ones. But I don't want them to have our recycled problems.
Hmm.
I want them to have new things that they're pushing for, new things that they're driving for. But we have to work really hard, Brandon, to make sure that we've opened the lane so they can just run.
Yeah.
Don't you imagine your daughter's just running, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that's the goal.
No, look, I think it's amazing. And I can definitely say, from a personal standpoint, one of the best things I've done for myself as a entrepreneur, as a leader in the last 5 years is focus more on leadership training.
Mm.
Because again, a lot of times you get put in these positions where all of a sudden you're leading a team and you're building things and people are coming to you and like you can only hustle for so long. You can only make it up as you go along for so long before again these things start to eat away at you. So, to kind of take a lot of those lessons that you've learned as a leader and put those in a book and say like, look, here's a starting point, for you to kind of go down this path. I think it could be extremely helpful for people because we get so caught up in just the day-to-day stuff, and you start realizing that when you start getting, some training and some more context and listening to other people, you start realizing, right, one, other people have dealt with similar problems before. And so how can I, learn from that to apply that to my own business? But also, yeah, give me tools and tips and frameworks and just ways to think about things. And again, those mental models have been extremely helpful for me. You always want to kind of tweak them and make it, specific to your situation, but just to kind of have a starting point as opposed to making it up from scratch and just kind of going along is an amazing thing. So I think the book's going to be amazing. Can't wait for it. Before we get out of here, the question I love to ask everybody is, if there was a Dr. Key billboard somewhere, we're going to say around Atlanta, what would be on that billboard?
That's good.
And it can't be support as a verb.
If it's a billboard today, it's going to be my book, No One is Self-Made.
There you go. There you go.
Any billboard for the next several months is No One is Self-Made. Purchase the book.
Purchase the book.
Purchase the book. But, aside from a billboard that's on a book, I would tell people that community is truly the way forward.
Mm-hmm.
Community is our way. Community is our superpower. And every billboard, every T-shirt would say the same thing. Yeah. If we get back to that, Brandon, if we believe in that, I believe that a lot of things that we are faced with, it would not subdue us. That we are already self-determined, but I just know that we would be a force and a guiding light to so many others, and a lot of things that really penetrate our community and make us divided. If we really get back to a level of collective consciousness, we know that together we are at our finest, we will be unstoppable.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Key, I appreciate you so much for pulling up. This has been an amazing conversation. Before you get out of here, how can people support you, the village, and where can they get this book at when it comes out?
Yes. So first, Brandon, before I say that, I just want to thank you for such a great conversation. Thank you for the work that you are doing. I think you are also a vessel in our community. So thank you. Thank you for allowing a space where I feel very safe in this conversation, which makes the conversation just flow. So you are really effortless in your gifts. So thank you. For all the incredible readers, of course, go buy the book. No One is Self-Made is available where all books are sold. Right now, it's on pre-order, so you can get it from Amazon and a number of other places, Books A Million, you name it, Target, Walmart. But if you just put in No One is Self-Made, you can pre-order the book. The book will officially be out in the world February 4th, so I'm very excited about that. And the book, again, is for entrepreneurs. If you just want to keep up with me, I post every now and then. Don't have too many expectations of me. It's Dr. Key Hallmon on all platforms. And my final thing is make sure that you continue to support Brandon and the team Butler. Listen, share these conversations, not just mine, but all the conversations that he has and his team has. Because as long as we share, as long as we do the support as a verb, then we can have even more Butler economics.
Well, so much, Dr. Keith. Thank you so much for pulling up. This has been an amazing conversation, and that's the pod, y'all. We out.